Good morning, everyone. Oh, Fiona, do you want to just click that little button up over there? So last week I read a little bit from Tangen Harada Roshi's book, Throw Yourself into the House of Buddha, and I read the section on great faith and great doubt, and we didn't have time to do great determination. So I thought I'd do that today, but I'm also feeling kind of very effortless today. So I want to do great effort, great determination, and no effort, no determination at the same time. Because that's just where I'm at. And I'd like to start with a story. Years ago, when I was living in California, I found myself unexpectedly a single parent, and I didn't have an income. I had a very limited income. And so in a very short space of time, I had to figure out how to earn money. I was living in Santa Cruz, which is a very expensive city, with an 8-year-old child, and I've been working maybe 6 hours a week in paid work and doing about 20 hours of an unpaid internship. So that needed to change very rapidly. So I went through a period of a couple of years of completely being focused on how to make money. I set up a private practice, I took on teaching positions, it was very consuming, not always in a healthy way, but nevertheless, I applied a great deal of effort. And after about 2 years, things had stabilized. I was earning enough to meet all of our expenses and to pay back some of the money I had borrowed. And then for the next couple of years, I still felt this need to keep trying hard. And I kept earning more money and started saving quite a lot of money and being offered more work. And a certain point arrived after about 4 years where I was really just doing too much. And I got offered a job, and I remember this point really well, of feeling like I have to say yes, because I had this sense that I must keep working hard, because I'd been in that mode for a number of years, feeling an enormous scarcity and intensity to earn enough money to care for my child. But I was currently in a point where I didn't need to do that. And saying no to a job offer, it was a real act of faith in myself and in the circumstances that I didn't need to do that. And then over the next year, I actually was able to let go of all of the work I'd been doing and just have a private practice. And so it became a lot less effortful and became very pleasant and just rewarding without a lot of effort, really. Just regular, normal effort of turning up. And then my son turned 18 and went to university, and I moved back to Australia. And then I just didn't feel like putting any effort into that at all, and more or less just gave up working so that I could just do more formal practice, more formal Zen practice. And was fortunate enough to not need to pay rent, so I don't have that expense. So now I can live very simply with very little income at all, and do have those savings from those years of working hard. So that's kind of a long arc of great amount of effort down to sort of no effort at all. And we can think about effort that way in much smaller little arcs. Like we can sit down at Zazen in the morning, and maybe when we sit down to Zazen, there's a lot of activity in the mind, and we might need to apply quite a lot of effort initially to say, okay, let's just come back to the breath now. We bring ourselves back to the breath, and we really apply ourselves. Maybe we do breath counting, because breath counting is a really good way to discipline our minds. So we might count on the out-breath. The out-breath is a good breath to count on because we relax on the out-breath. We tend to energize on the in-breath. Relax and let go on the out-breath. So it takes some discipline to pay attention to that in-breath. Let go on the out-breath. Pay attention on the in-breath. So we might need to apply quite a bit of discipline at the beginning of the Zazen period. And then as it sort of gets into a bit of a rhythm of its own, we actually cannot really bother about breath counting. And maybe not even think too much about the breath. Maybe we can just sit there and not really apply any effort at all. Just sit there. And thoughts just come in and drift by. We can be really at ease. That might last for 5 minutes, or if we're lucky, it might last for most of a period of Zazen. So it's kind of effort and no effort, a kind of relationship between effort and no effort. We might put in effort to study. Like quite a lot of people in Twining Vines, we study one-on-one each week. We meet online and study a book together each week. It takes a little bit of effort to turn up for that, to schedule it into our calendars and turn up for it. So we make that effort. We might make the effort throughout the day to bring that teaching into our mind and sort of map it onto our experience as we're going through our day. We'll see something will happen and we'll think about the teachings of impermanence and see how that's applying to that situation. And consciously engaging with the teachings and our experience. We might notice that we've got this little constriction in ourself and we're a little bit preoccupied with what somebody thinks of us. We might think about, oh yes, there's the teaching that the source of suffering is actually self-identification, feeling that there's a separate self. That's what's happening to me right now. We might make a little effort to do that, to apply what we've been studying to our experience, rather than just getting lost in the experience itself. Lost in the experience itself, it is sort of meaning believing in the thoughts that we're having about the experience itself. So that applies just a little bit of effort. So in one of our sutras, it ends, one of the morning sutras, it ends with, don't waste time. And in that don't waste time, and when we chant that, our voice trails off, don't waste time. It's kind of a strong encouragement to make effort. And this often happens at sesshin. We come to sesshin and often maybe we've had a fairly busy time. So the first part of sesshin, the first few days, maybe we just want to sit there and just relax a little bit and get into the rhythm of breathing and noticing our breathing. Get into the rhythm of hearing sounds. Sometimes, especially if you're working with a koan, as you get to the last few days of sesshin, a kind of intensity can arrive. We think, oh my God, only 2 days of sesshin left. I want to pass this koan. So a kind of a ferocity can sometimes arrive in the last few days of sesshin. What is this? Really question intensely with that sense of don't waste time. In the Diamond Sangha tradition, the other tradition that I'm trained in besides this Soto school of Suzuki Roshi's, there's a chant that's called out from outside the zendo at night time. And I always found it very encouraging. I beg to urge you everyone, life and death is a grave matter. All things pass quickly away. Each of you should be completely alert, never neglectful, never indulgent. I would hear that from outside the zendo, being called out from outside the zendo late at night. It would be very motivating to apply myself, to put in effort. And then at the same time, we just don't put in any effort. When we see the sunrise, our eyes just look up, and out the window we see the sunrise. If we're indoors, we just look up, and there it is, the sun coming up. Like it does for us at the moment with morning zazen. There's no effort required at all. Just a tiny bit of effort required to notice that we're breathing. Sometimes if we're moving through the day, we can just apply a tiny bit of effort. I'm breathing in and breathing out. Like the sound of the birds just outside here right now. Doesn't really require effort. Just hear the sound of the birds. So there's both something to do and nothing to do at the same time. This is why we call it effortless effort. Something to do and nothing to do at the same time. Something to do because life is short, nothing to do because we are already Buddhas. Buddha nature, we are the expression of Buddha nature, we are Buddha nature. We just don't always realize it. So there's nothing to do, nothing to embellish, nothing to add. But at the same time, we have a lot of delusive thoughts, so we apply ourselves. Just to let the delusive thoughts drift away. So I'd like to read a little bit of Tangen Harada Roshi's comments about great effort, and then Suzuki's Roshi's comments that are more in the kind of no effort perspective. There is no time to dilly-dally. This is the time to get on with it, to cut the thread of ignorance. That energetic determination is the third element, which we call great determination, fierce determination, like that of a lion or a tiger. When the animal sits still, it is settled and completely quiet. But when the great cat strikes out, how its true nature is revealed. The energy is indescribable. This spirited force naturally arises in your practice from great faith and great doubt. Practice with energy, burning zestfully. When you hurl yourself full force into life, all of life trembles. Great determination does not permit you to falter. It is not just words, and you are not just an onlooker. Your reality, your present reality, is the reality of the universe. One truth, one soul truth. Please know in your bones, I can realize it. I can remember it, my first few sessions, really being encouraged by the thought, you can wake up in this life. You don't need to wait for a future life. You can wake up in this life. But you have to apply yourself. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because delusions are the habit of mind that we have acquired. So apply yourself, apply yourself. You can wake up. And I'd hear the stories of students staying in the zendo after the scheduled session day was over at say 9 p.m. and they would keep on sitting. And I always wanted to do that, but I never had terribly much strength to do it. But I would sometimes manage another period of Zazen. Or if Zazen started at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes I would have the discipline to get up and start at 4. So I pushed a little bit as I was capable of it, just a bit. But I couldn't stay all night, as you read stories of monks and nuns staying up all night, dripping with sweat, with the effort, fainting on their cushion. But we can do our best version of that, which might be just to turn up to 6 a.m. Zazen for 30 minutes online. That's good. In this modern life, just to do that requires quite a bit of discipline. And all of that effort is worth it. Everything we do always has a consequence. So no effort is ever wasted. It might not unfold the way we want it to, but our effort is not wasted. It strengthens our character when we put in effort. So I'll just read the last part where Tangen Harada Roshi speaks a little bit about those three: great faith, great doubt, and great determination together. These three keys to practice are in your hands. The roots of great faith, the great mass of doubt, the great fierce determination. You cannot wait to be forced to practice by some external stimulus. This faith, this doubt, and this determination come from the source, and the source is within yourself. The source of life is giving it. Don't hesitate to use it. If you practice these 3 points, there is no way in the world that you can falter to realize your true nature and fail to realize the great matter. It's a really strong encouragement there that our effort is worth it. And teachers often have a tendency to either emphasize effort or to de-emphasize effort. And this is not because one is better than the other. It's because in different circumstances we can understand effort in different ways, and different teachers also have their personalities, and different periods of time and different sanghas have their needs. So this is a little bit from Suzuki Roshi's comments on effort. It's got a different flavour. The chapter is called Right Effort. The most important point in our practice is to have right or perfect effort. Our effort in our practice should be directed from achievement to non-achievement. Usually, when you do something, you want to achieve something. You attach to some result. From achievement to non-achievement means to be rid of the unnecessary and bad results of effort. If you do something in the spirit of non-achievement, there is a good quality to it. So just to do something without any particular effort is enough. When you make some special effort to achieve something, some excessive quality, some extra element is involved in it. You should get rid of excessive things. If your practice is good without being aware of it, if your practice is good, without being aware of it, you will become proud of your practice. That pride is extra. What you do is good, but something more is added to it. So you should get rid of that something which is extra. This point is very, very important. But usually we are not subtle enough to realize it, and we go in the wrong direction. When you practice Zazen, just practice Zazen. If enlightenment comes, it just comes. We should not attach to the attainment. The true quality of Zazen is always there, even if you are not aware of it. So forget all about what you think you may have gained from it. Just do it. The quality of Zazen will express itself. Then you will have it. People ask what it means to practice Zazen with no gaining idea. What kind of effort is necessary for that kind of practice? The answer is effort to get rid of something extra from our practice. If some extra idea comes, you should try to stop it. You should remain in pure practice. That is the point towards which our effort is directed. So try not to see something in particular. Try not to achieve anything special. You already have everything in your own pure quality. If you understand this ultimate fact, there is no fear. There may be some difficulty, of course, but there is no fear. So it's got a different flavour to it, rather than life is short, practice with determination. Suzuki Roshi is more just sit, don't try to attain anything. And a common question that comes up is, like, are we supposed to aspire to something? Is it okay to have an aspiration, for example, to say wake up? And I think the teachings say, yes, it's a good idea to have an aspiration to wake up. It's a good idea to want to be of service in this world. But in actual Zazen, when we're actually doing Zazen, we don't need to think about that. Thinking about enlightenment while we're doing Zazen is not a good idea. When we're in Zazen, pay attention to the breath. Or if you're working with the koan, just sit with the koan, which often actually involves just bringing the koan to mind, then letting it go and paying attention to the breath. So it turns out to be not that different anyway. Or if we're doing shiken taza, quite a subtle and difficult practice of not focusing on anything in particular and simply being in objectless awareness, then we just do that. And we're not thinking, this will help me wake up. We can think that afterwards if we like, or we could think that before if we like. But in Zazen, just sitting, just sitting. So I think this is a really nice balance between recognizing that we're fine already as we are, nothing to do, nothing to add, just trusting our true nature, and also recognizing life is short. We may die tomorrow. We may die today. And let's use our time well so that we are functioning in accord with reality. Isn't that just one of the most wonderful things to do, to actually function in accord with reality, not fighting reality, not being confused by reality, being at ease with reality, responding appropriately. In our humble life, we don't need to do anything grand. Yeah. So that's great effort and no effort. I think I'll stop there and see if we might have some conversation. I'll just turn the recording off.